Hey guys, Andy here. So I love my gadgets, that's not particularly a secret, but recently I also love cycling. This year I've cycled a lot, so I've lost quite a lot of weight. But when I hear there's a cycling gadget that I don't have, I've got to try it. Hence the Garmin Varia rear-view radar. Now, in my cycling this year, twice I've almost been in quite bad accidents. One of them was a vehicle that I just didn't realise was behind me. I've moved out, it's come flying by at speed, a very high speed. My fault, but I just didn't realise it was there. That's where hopefully this rear view radar comes into play. It cost me £126 from Halfords, which is actually the cheapest place I could find it. It's listed at 140, but if you remember British Cycling, you can print a voucher out, take the voucher and your card to Halfords, they'll give you another 10% off. So from 140 comes to 126. Compare that to, so Wiggles, one of my sort of favourite places for ordering cycling gear from, they are asking 153 at the minute. So that's a good £30 difference almost. So well done Halfords for being that competitive, I suppose. If we take a look at the actual box itself, some specifications on the side. I like how it shows in lumens how bright the light will go. I can tell you now, pretty bright, because it half blinded me when I was looking into it by mistake. Inside the actual box, we see the device itself there, tucked in snugly in its cardboard bed. And then inside, there we go, we see it's kind of got its plastic wrapper wrapped up quite tightly. It's a reasonable sized device, reasonably big. I guess it's going to have to, it's going to radar hidden in it somewhere. Then we get some different sort of attachments or rubber kind of, I don't know what you would call these, but they're what you use to, depending what type of frame you have, I suppose. And then we've got two different band sizes. There is the actual mount that the radar / light is going to clip into on the back of my bike. So then we want to get it paired up really. See the attachment at the back, and at the bottom is kind of a rubber cover where the micro USB port lives for charging it up. It apparently should last for about 6 hours, which is enough for most people. I mean, I only ride kind of an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours at the most. So 6 hours should be plenty if I charge in between. When it's on, the lights flashing. I've got my Wahoo element here and it will detect it automatically. It says, do you want to save it? Once you save it, automatically, you can see on the left-hand side, there's the little strip, which is kind of the virtual road almost. The instructions are not good. So yeah, this is kind of showing you how you fit it, where you fit it, that you need to have a certain amount of space between the wheel and the device, which means I've had to change my saddlebag. And then managed to get the sort of mount clipped on, clip the light itself on. And we should be good to go from that position. There is a reasonable bit of space between that and the wheel. I've lowered it slightly since, to be fair, and put in a smaller saddlebag so I can have me spare in a tube and puncture repair kit. Then to get to the settings, we're using the app. And there's not a lot of settings, but you can turn off sort of audible alerts. You can turn off the little road bits and have just use the LEDs down the side, which is probably quite clever, quite a good idea. But I'm going to stick with the audible alerts. So the way the radar works is it will track anything that's behind you that's approaching you. So things that aren't, things that are just sitting behind you or stationary items will not be tracked. I think I read somewhere that they have to be gaining by 9 miles an hour, but actually at the same time, I'm sure there's been things that approached me much slower than that it does appear on the radar. When it detects something, it will blip, the LEDs will flash, and the car will appear on the virtual road. The unit can track up to 8 cars at once, which I think is pretty impressive, to be fair. If I'm driving in my car and I look in my rearview mirror, I can't track 8 cars, so it's really clever that the unit can do that. Some reviews say it's useless in the city, triggered by parked cars. I've not experienced this at all. I found it to be really accurate and really helpful, actually. When I look in my mirror, a lot of the time the moving cars, they don't look that different to the stationary cars when you're looking at a tiny little small mirror and the car's 60 meters away, but the radar knows which one is moving and can tell you that there is a car coming. It can see cars way before I can see them in my mirror, for that matter, as well, up to 140 meters away. Parked cars and engine noise from cars going the opposite way do often mean when I'm riding in the city, it is hard to tell if there's something approaching from behind, so it's great to be able to glance down to see if something's there or not. It even detects smaller vehicles such as motorbikes and even cyclists if they're gaining quick enough. Those riding with you won't be gaining, so it would be ignored. The light itself is 60 lumens and Garmin claim can be seen from a mile away. Quite clever, as cars approach, it starts flashing just to make sure that they've seen you. So, honestly, I love this little thing. I think it's one of the things that a lot of people are going to say, do you really need it? And no, you don't really need it, but it's one of those gadgets that is actually really very handy. It can tell cars are there when I've not realised at times. A lot of times they're still quite a long way away and I probably would realise before they catch up with me. But it's just so much easier to just glance down and see if there's things behind you or not. I found it to be incredibly reliable. I don't think once has a car gone by that it's not picked up. The only time I suppose it could be dangerous is if a car comes up behind you, then it sits and waits. There is a chance after a while it will drop off the radar and you might forget it's there and then it makes a move. It will probably appear again when it makes a move, but you might not have enough time then to react. So I guess just don't forget that the car is there. Having said that, the car followed me today for about, I don't know, 15 seconds and it stayed on there the whole time. So it is reliable in that respect. So yeah, I mean, it's just, for me, it's a fantastic little gadget. Possibly future versions, things I can think that they could perhaps add would be if it could indicate somehow how big the vehicle was. If it's a big lorry, it's a bigger icon. If it's a motorbike, even a motorbike icon, I don't know. Maybe what lane the vehicle approaching is in. I might be looking many years ahead at this point, I don't know. Or perhaps maybe if it could just log registration plates, that could be handy. You know, if you do get hit by somebody, I do have a camera on my bike, but it's pointing forwards. If you get hit from somebody behind, I've got nothing. And if it's logged all the number plates, maybe that helps. I don't know if you put a camera in as well, take a snapshot of every car. I don't know if we're going to I'm asking for too much at this point. I don't expect it to be in this one, but I just think possibly in a future version, if we were really looking at what would be my ideal gadget, that would make it sort of off the chart amazing, I suppose. But yeah, generally, the Garmin Varia, this is the RTL510, 510. There is a RTL511, that's just a German version, don't worry about that. I kind of thought, is that a newer version? Is that a more up-to-date version? No, it's just a German version because they've got certain laws as far as flashing lights or solid lights, so they had to make a whole different version. But yeah, the Garmin Varia RTL510, get one. I think they're amazing. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, but for now, my name's Andy, and I'll catch you all again soon.